Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is such a beautiful way of greeting. Let me translate it for you. May God bless us all with his peace, mercy, and blessings. What more do we need? We just need his peace, mercy, and blessings. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It gives me immense pleasure today to welcome you all to this exciting series of Enlighten Life with Quran, in which we will understand word-to-word translation along with a light explanation, getting into its meaning and background stories. This is a very ambitious project I have undertaken, and the goal is to have a clear picture of this one and only unique book whose author is Allah himself. My goal is to introduce the Quran to the young men and women who have perhaps never read the Quran, or maybe they read it, but do not know the meaning. And it also is for the curious middle and high school girls and boys who have many question marks in their growing minds. Before I begin this journey, I wish to give a disclaimer. I'm not an Islamic scholar. I'm just a person amazed by the depth of this holy book and just want you all to share my journey to revisit the Quran. I have already done tafsir, like I'm almost in completion of tafsir of the Quran once. I'm revisiting, and I just wanted you all to be a part of my journey so we can enjoy together. All my notes are just a summary and reflection of the tafsir of the Quran, meaning these are not direct translations. They are not direct tafsir or explanations. They are not the direct tafsirs, that they are not the exact words used. So when I say Prophet said, or I say that Allah says, it is a summary of what they said, not what they said word by word. This is just a way for you to begin the journey into Quran. And I'm trying my best and putting in my genuine effort for us to enjoy walking through this path. Allah has explained all matters of life in the Holy Quran. So we can find the right direction to life only if we know what exactly Allah has mentioned in the Quran, right? So this coming series is a human attempt from me. So I ask forgiveness from Allah in case I make any errors, any mistakes. May Allah reward us all in this journey towards enlightening our lives with Quran. Now, the topic for today is a brief introduction on what is Quran and why Quran. But I cannot begin before I thank the people who have been a source of my inspiration. First of all, I would like to thank my parents who nurtured me and raised me to be capable of taking this huge step. Thank you, Mama, and thank you, Abuya, Allah Rahamu, he's no more, for everything you have done for me. Thank you so much, both my parents. I would like to mention the names of two very important people who have been my inspiration and the reason to start this project. Both have played a role in encouraging me to further build this desire in me. First, Auntie Azra Gill. Probably many of you here in the Woodlands know her, in the Spring and Woodlands. I have been her student since 2016, and she has been tirelessly teaching me and many of my friends. I guess she's almost 80, I think, yes, or maybe more or less. But I know she is the age of my own mother, 80 years, and her active involvement at this age in teaching Quran always baffled me. A very dedicated, resilient, hardworking, and a strong woman, I must say. May Allah reward her for all her efforts. Really, really great job. The second person I want to talk about is Sheikh Dr. Irhabi, Imam of Masjid Al-Ansar at Woodland, Texas. I have no words to praise him. I've worked in various projects with him, many projects I've worked with him. I can say that his very presence in our community has brought light to our lives. He is the backbone of our community with a ton of knowledge. I can say that he is a walking university amongst us. So frankly speaking, my advice to everyone who live here in the Woodland, Texas, is to take advantage of his vast knowledge as much as possible. So Azra Auntie and Sheikh, thank you very much for supporting me always. Now, before I begin with my topic of today, there are two ways you can follow my future episodes. One way is to just like on a Sunday evening, just sit down and sit back and just listen to all my episodes and just try to absorb it. The second and the better way is to have the Quran in front of you, because we will be reading word by word of each ayah followed by an explanation. I myself, I use the word-to-word Quran by Dr. Shehnaz Sheikh. This is a set of 3 books. The whole Quran is divided into 3 books. And it's available on Amazon, I believe it's available. It's for $39 for the whole set. And it's really good. In the next class, I will also try to show it to you on the screen. So you can buy this book, and I'll also put it up on the group the name of the book, and you can get it on Amazon. And this, if you have this book, the reason I need all of you all to have the Quran in front of you is because when you will be reading from this Quran, you'll have the word-to-word meaning, the whole translation next to it. Maybe you'll make some notes next to it. So this will become your personalized Quran. And first time in your life, you will understand and read the Quran. So this is going to need commitment, dedication, sincerity, and resilience. May Allah give us all the guidance to do so. So now let's come to our topic for today. So the topic for today is, what is Quran and why Quran? Why have we dedicated ourselves to this mission? Why are we doing this? So let's first, why Quran? Let's do why Quran. So let's analyze our own life a bit. We have all gone to school and we have definitely achieved something in life. Schooling was a long journey. You had to, and some of you are really going through the schooling and some of you have finished. So you had to go through the long process of kindergarten up to high school, college, university, and so on. But without the first step in kindergarten, could you go to the next? Could you do the grade 2 without doing grade 1? Could you place yourself in any of the grades without going through the previous one? So like you had to learn the basic ABC to be able to read and write words and sentences. And you had to learn numbers before you could learn to add and subtract, right? So now, but like now, if you think back, you don't remember all the history books you studied, all the equations and all the text which you studied. You don't remember, but this education process has developed you into a smart and efficient human being. What have you derived from this whole education process of years and years? Now, I can just name a few what comes in my mind. Number one, of course, you all have developed the reading and mathematical skills. to ready you for the more complicated stuff in life. Then it has taught you tolerance, to be tolerant to your friends and, to your siblings and to everyone around you. Then it has taught you discipline. Wait for your turn. You must have heard that in school. You've learned sharing. Now, this keeps ringing in my head all the time. Sharing is caring. I used to tell my kids. Discipline, you've learned to wake up at the right time in the morning. You have to sleep at the right time. You've learned to discipline yourself. Then you have submitting assignments before deadlines, problem-solving skills, leadership skills, ability to work independently and in a team. You got it all. So now, coming back, why Quran? We are so smart and so efficient. We've done it all. So why Quran? Now, let's look into that. Quran is not a storybook. It's not a law book. It's like that you go step by step. It's not a poem. It is actually a whole revolution of mindset. It gives weapons and strength to the thought police. I call it the thought police. And deriving the guidance from Quran, the thought police are easily set marching. So now, who's this thought police? Now, thought police is a path to self-awareness. We all have some secrets inside us, but Allah knows some of our hidden secrets so deep, deep inside us that even we don't know they exist. We cannot identify or discover our own thoughts and actions sometimes, right? So these secrets are things in your subconscious mind, perhaps things embedded in your early memory, things which depict the way you act and the way you behave. It could be things like your aggressive behavior, your tendency to blurt out and say a lot of sarcastic and perhaps condescending things, your rebellious attitude, your inability to make decisions, your feeling of insecurity. You may do things which your own conscience says no, and yet you cannot stop from doing it. Doesn't that happen? So then, with all or some of these feelings, what is your last take? What do? You will probably talk to a friend with a problem, or you may go to a family member, you may go to a counselor, or you may even go to a psychiatrist. What will he do? The psychiatrist, what can he do? He will dig deep in your mind, and you will realize there are things in the past that are more deeply hidden than the secrets of your own heart. It impacts the way you behave. The psychiatrist has some limitations to even dig out all these details from you, but Allah knows it all. And it is for you to have control on your hidden secrets and let your thought police march in the right direction. I hope you get it. It's pretty deep. So now let me explain. Now, here's the catch. Just as a child is connected to his mother, he goes to her for all her needs. He cannot do without her. She is his friend, teacher, and guide. But as we grow, we become more and more independent of our actions. We have grown now into teenagers and adults. We have weaned out of the protection of our parents. So now we need another rope to hold on. We need that inner peace and contentment, ability to do the right thing. This is only possible if we are spiritually connected to Allah. He makes us more aware of ourselves than we have ever been. Allah starts opening up your own consciousness, the things deep inside us, which even you were not aware of, like you and me, we're not aware. Those kind of things starts opening up. And gradually, we start becoming a better and a healthier human being. Now, we are in a position to be able to combat some of those bad behaviors, emotional stress, nervousness, lack of confidence, maybe fear, anger, which we didn't even know why it even exists in our thought process. Why is this anger even there in our minds? So your spiritual closeness to Allah actually starts unraveling all those unknown things, gives you more and more confidence and clarity. The one who gets to know his master actually truly gets to know himself. So if you forget Allah, Allah will make you forget yourself. Our closeness to Allah is actually our own self-awareness. It's the awareness of ourself. It alleviates us from many sadnesses, negative emotions of life, and saves us so much in all our relationships, even with the ones we have with our own selves, within our own selves. That leads to inner peace. And this can only happen by learning about the book whose author is Allah himself, the Quran. So we just spoke about why of Quran. Now let's discuss what of Quran. What is Quran? Today I will just give you a bird's eye view of what is Quran. Now, Quran is a continuation of the previous divine messages that Allah sent to people via his messengers throughout history, to Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Moses, Prophet Jesus. And Quran is the grand finale of those divine messages. Now, it is really not possible to explain what is Quran without mentioning the name of Prophet Muhammad. Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad in the times of polytheistic Arabs of Mecca in Saudi Arabia, when idol worship was the predominant religion of the 7th century. So let us briefly see the life of Prophet Muhammad, very much in brief, before he became a prophet at the age of 40. Now, before we begin, it is important to first understand the environment in pre-Islamic Arabia, the environment in which Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was born. I will quickly give you an idea of the kind of life they lived in. So Prophet Muhammad was born in Mecca during the age of ignorance, which is called Jahiliyyah. People were indulged in very bad practices and false ideas. They worshipped idols. There were more than 300 idols, placed all around the Kaaba. Each idol had a different shape, size, and a reason. And they would worship, the way their way of worshiping was they would worship walking around the Kaaba naked. They would not have clothes on. They would walk around. And the other thing is that drinking wine was a common practice. They believed that the girls were unlucky and a burden. So many of the men, they buried alive their newborn babies, the newborn daughters. They were happy with the son because birth of a male child was a sign of a tribal power. A boy, I have a son. They did unfair things to women. They did not even give women any property rights. In fact, I would say that property rights were not given to women until very recently. Even in America, it was just like a few decades ago, women got their rights. So the other point is that what else was there? Okay, the rich people. The rich people, they oppressed the poor and the powerless ones. Rich would unfairly take the wealth of the orphans. And they also had ferocious tribal feuds. They used to always have, bloody wars between each other. So bloodshed among them was common. Islam, in the end, brought an end to all these practices. So now coming to Prophet Muhammad, that Prophet Muhammad was an orphan. His father died before he was born, and his mother died when he was 6 years old. He was then raised by his uncle, and he worked as a content young shepherd boy. This did not, when he was working, he used to work all from morning to evening. He was working as a shepherd, and this did not give him an opportunity to read or write. So he was unlettered. He could not read, he could not write. And anyway, generally the common people there in Makkah, they were uneducated. So but Prophet Muhammad was a very kind, helpful, and a friendly boy. And everybody, they loved him in Makkah. Now, in his early teens, what happened? He started working for his uncle, who was a businessman. Now, Prophet Muhammad, he gained commercial experience, experience in commercial trade. He gained experience because his uncle used to travel back and forth to different, far away cities to bring goods to buy and sell them. So he was a trader. And Prophet Muhammad used to work with him, and he got a lot of experience there. So in time, he earned a reputation of an honest and a sincere man. Honest is because, in trading, when it comes to money, people become dishonest. They don't want to give away the money. But he was like extremely honest. He was well known that he never pocketed any money, never did that. So his honesty and sincerity, it acquired him a nickname, Al-Amin. People started calling him Al-Amin. It means, the meaning of Amin means faithful or trustworthy. Now, in his early 20s, Prophet Muhammad began working for a widow who was a wealthy merchant woman named Khadija, 15 years older to him. She soon became attracted to this young, accomplished man, and eventually she proposed marriage, and which he did accept. They both got married and they lived a very happy life together. Their love was well known to everybody in Makkah. Everyone knew about them. Together, they had a very happy life. Together, they had 4 daughters who grew to adulthood, and at least like 2 or 3 sons, all of whom died in infancy. And during her lifetime, while Khadija was alive, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had only one wife. She was his only wife, his true love. Prophet Muhammad, during that time, with what all was going on around in Arabia, he could not digest the ignorant practices going on in Arabia. It really disturbed him. So he started going to a cave on Mount Hira. So he started, and he used to go. This cave is it's on a mountain which is out of Makkah, the cave Hira, where he would sit for hours. He would just sit in the cave thinking, meditating, peering into the mysteries of creation. He would keep thinking deeply into life and death, of good and evil, and to find out order out of this chaos which was going on around him. It was at the age of 40, he got his first revelation. That was a fearful day for him, as he didn't understand what is happening. While sitting all alone in the cave, he was commanded by a mighty voice. And the voice said, read. He was terrified. He didn't know from where this voice is coming. He started looking around. It was Angel Jibreel who appeared and relayed the first word of Allah. Read. Those were the first words. These were the first ayahs. The first ayahs are the first verses. They were revealed in Surah number 96, Surah Alaq. These were the first verses revealed by Angel Jibreel, coming directly from Allah. Prophet Muhammad was so afraid that he started trembling and he ran home to his wife, Khadija. When he ran to her and he told her what happened, she was wondering, what's wrong? What's happened to you? He was like shivering. And so she calmed him and comforted him. But this was just the beginning. It was just the beginning, and the revelations, these revelations which he got later on, he got used to it. It was not so shocking. And then later on, he actually used to wait for these revelations to come from Allah. So this thing carried on for the next 23 years till he died at the age of 63. Now, Quran was directly revealed from Allah through Angel Jibreel, as I told you. The verses were revealed at different times and places over the next 23 years. It was not at one time. It was at different time, different intervals. Sometimes they were as answers to specific questions of that time, or in reference to certain events happening at that time. After the first revelation of Quran, Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he lived in Makkah for 13 years and then migrated to Medina, where he died at the age of 63. So in our following episodes from next week, we will learn about what all happened during those 23 years of his prophetic life. Now, let's talk about Quran. Let's talk something about how the Quran is. When we will come to it, let's understand generally about the Quran. Quran consists of 114 chapters called surah, and each chapter consists of a number of verses called ayah. Now, it's well known that the Quran is divided into 30 parts. Each part is called a juz, and it is called a para in India and Pakistan. They call it a para. So it's either a juz or para. You must have definitely heard this, and there are 20 parts. This division was not done during Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's time. This idea of making it into 30 juz, 30 parts, it's actually originated in Iraq in the very early Islam, to facilitate the people to read the Quran in 1 month, to complete it like in 1 month, 30 parts in 30 days. These divisions are not divine in nature. So we will progress through the Quran surah by surah. So when I get into the Quran, I will start with Surah Fatiha first, but then we'll just take surah by surah and we will process in the Quran. I think it's done now. All right. So out of these 114 chapters, about 60% of Quran was revealed in the first 12 or 13 years. And the other 40% was revealed in the 10 years after he migrated from Mecca to Medina. Now, Quran has its own unique style, like none other book, of course. And I would like to share a few things about Quran, like what is the style. Now, a few things which come to my mind is, number one is that the chapters in Quran are not compiled in a chronological or a numerical sequence of their revelation. Therefore, chapter 1 in the Quran, which you see today, is not the chapter that was revealed first, and chapter 114 is not the one that was revealed last. All right. The second uniqueness I can think of is that the word, yes, and this is really very important, the word chapter is not the right word to be used, because Quran technically doesn't have chapters. Why? Because what is a chapter? Chapters are things built one on top of the other, correct? It is like a continuation of events. You have to study chapter 1 to understand chapter 2. You have to study chapter 2 to understand chapter 3. So chapters are a continuation and they are interconnected, correct? But in the Quran, chapters are placed very differently. The verses in the same chapter address several different issues. Like the same chapter has different topics. You will see breaks of various topics within the same chapter. So we will call these chapters surah. Okay, so we'll be calling it surah, and the verses are ayah. We'll call it ayah because why? Because they are so very unique in nature. The other point, yeah, this is also a very important point. Quran is not a book on history, although it contains historical stories about good and evil individuals and nations that lived before the time of Prophet Muhammad. It has a unique style in even relating this history. Quran is not interested in pure history. See, it's not interested in narrating a story, but rather in the educational dimensions of historical events. Historical accounts are mentioned in order to highlight their educational lessons. Like, what lesson are we getting from that particular story? For instance, it is not uncommon for the Quran to talk about historical characters without even mentioning their name. Now, one example is found in the story of Prophet Yusuf. Now, where Prophet Yusuf's brothers are referred to throughout the surah. The whole story is based on the brothers of Prophet Yusuf, but never with their name. So they're mentioned throughout because the name was not important there. The lesson which that story taught us, that was important. So it's basically a guidance for us. It's more of a guidance. So the story is like irrelevant. The guidance which we extract from the story, that is important. The next point is that the Quran's unique style also reflects the fact that it is the words of Allah directly narrated to his prophet, to his messenger, Prophet Muhammad. Means our prophet did not skip any information. He recorded every word which was revealed to him, word by word. And so these ayahs, these verses, they were preserved in parchments, tablets, etc. But more amazing way of really preserving the Quran was like the companions, they memorized it all. It was all in their head. They memorized it perfectly. So later on, the Quran was like compiled into a proper book, which you see today. It was later on compiled because, of course, 23 years passed and the revelation was just coming repeatedly. So even today, it is a normal practice for many Muslims to memorize the whole Quran. By the way, I would like to share with you something interesting. Now, while growing up, my sons, they have memorized not the whole Quran, of course, but certain surahs of the Quran. They have many surahs. They memorized quite a lot of surahs. Now they are young men. They're big adults, and they tell me that it has sharpened their memory skills. And they found it very easy in college and university to remember lessons. So like in the class, when they would sit, like they would like instantly absorb everything which was told. So all those who are in the process of memorizing Quran right now, just go ahead with it. Let me tell you that it will surely benefit you in the long run, and it will really sharpen your memory skills, and you really become smart in the other fields of our life. The other point of its uniqueness is that there are also verses which represent words that addressed personal matters of the Prophet, although of course they convey useful lessons to people in general. Now, the last and another aspect of the uniqueness of the Quranic text is that it did not change over a period of time. Example, if I ask my older son, get me some water, he goes to my younger son and tells, Mama said, give her some water. Now, did he quote me or did he paraphrase me? He paraphrased me, right? Because why? Because he didn't use my exact words. He passed on my message to his younger brother, but not the exact words which I said. He didn't say the exact words. He just passed on my message that go and give Mama some water. So when the message is from Allah, Allah also passed message, right? From how he passed, from Allah to Jibreel to Prophet Muhammad, from Prophet Muhammad to his companions, from companions till this day to us. It kept on passing. So when the message is from Allah, and the words are also from Allah. So the beauty of it is that in the Quran, it becomes a Quran. It becomes a Quran when the message is also from Allah and the words in it are also from Allah. So the texts in the Quran are the direct words of Allah revealed by Angel Jibreel. This is the view of the overwhelming majority of scholars, both Muslims and non-Muslims. And the Quran itself, it proclaims that it is protected by Allah against any attempt to tamper with it. It is in Surah Hijr, in Surah 15, Ayah 19, it is written that Allah says that He revealed the Quran and He will guard the Quran. So the Quran that we read today is the same book that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad more than 14 centuries ago. Not a dot has changed. The authenticity of the Quran is a universally accepted fact. Now, we have come to the end of why Quran and what is Quran. Now, I would like to conclude it by saying that after learning so much about Quran and Prophet Muhammad, I have many questions in my mind. I'm sure many of you do too. I wonder how the whole of Arabia, present Saudi Arabia, accepted Islam in a matter of few years. It was like a domino effect. And how could this one man lead to the conquer of Rome and Persia, which, mind you, was the superpower of that time? Imagine today a small, tiny country, a group of people, they just get up and conquer America or Russia or China. Sounds impossible, right? So then the other thing is that how could Islam spread so rapidly in such a short span? Why is Quran read by about almost 2 billion Muslims worldwide? Why? And how can Muslims memorize the whole Quran? That really surprises me. It has more than 600 pages, and there are so many thousands of people in the world who have memorized the whole Quran word by word, without any change in it. They are so perfect. Now, all these questions, this is food for thought. And this is why I'm here today. We need an answer to many questions, and we will get it all in due course. We have to read and understand this book. Together, we will surely make an attempt to complete the entire Quran. May Allah give you and me patience, consistency, and discipline to reach our goal. I'm very excited and looking forward to our next episode where we will begin Surah Fatiha. I recommend you all to bring Quran with a translation next week. And until then, I wish you all a very happy and successful week.